So I was traveling a lot and I was seeing different people. So obviously I could learn different perspectives and also see, how people behave, how they take the decisions, whether it's easier in particular environment, different countries, how this environment is designed. So I started to creating a little thoughts about this and also experimenting. So because I had a lot of freedom, I could propose a lot of things. So for example, whenever I organized any meetings, or it was also events for the company, whatever I did, because I was more on this human side, I could combine and I could give a little flavor of art as well. So that was something that brings to the company a creative side.
Quite interesting space, which thank you for locating, and I'm in conversation with Dr. Agnieszka Wolińska-Skuza. I hope I got it right. So thank you so much for joining me today, Agnes. It's very interesting to know, because I've obviously done a lot of research on you, that you wear so many different hats. You're a consultant, you're into academic, you're an author, you're a coach. So there's so many different aspects of you, which I am so interested to understand and hear from you, which I'm sure that the audience will also be really curious about. So once again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so Agnes, let's start with a little bit on your background. I know that you're from Poland, and so you did all your training in Poland, and that's where your career, I guess, took off. But then you've also had experiences in different parts of Europe. So how did all these experiences, starting from Poland, actually shape you into becoming the kind of consultant that you are today?
Oh, very interesting question, and not easy to answer, very easily, but I'll try to tell you a little bit background about myself. So I started in Poland, and my first background was in music. Classical music, which was my passion, and still it is music, art, it's always my passion. But at the same time, I was always doing the normal school, like ordinary school in the afternoons, music school, in the morning, just academic school. So it was like both possibilities to really learn something from different perspective. So once I graduated in Poland, I moved to London to continue my studies, and I was very lucky to meet a lot of interesting people and be a part of different projects. I chose London.
So this was while you were studying?
While I was studying.
Okay.
It was my, I was completing my degree, it was my postgraduate studies, and I decided to pick up the country where the specific discipline of classical music, it was performance on period instruments. I wanted to specifically learn from people who were the first one who discovered this method. So I wanted to learn from the really masters, and I found those people. I found them initially in Poland, and I wanted to follow this path. So that gave me a lot of opportunities to be at any rehearsals, any concerts, and also, being initially a musician, I also had the possibility to really perform on different stages. So I didn't realize at that time when I went to London, just started my studies, and during the first month I was playing for the current King of England. So
wow!
so That's
that's quite something.
That's quite something. But at that moment, we were playing for music. We were invited to do so. So it was like our job from the college to do so. But on my way in London, I was meeting a lot of interesting people, a lot of artists, but also I started my business studies at Westminster University, so it was management. So I could develop like both paths, and my curiosity to learn more, to really understand better world, how people behave, how the organizations are managed. It started really in London. So once I returned to Poland, I decided that maybe I will go on different career path. So it was like finding the opportunities to really look for an interesting job. So I searched for something that will bring additional value for me, and it was consulting. So I started my job at KPMG, which was something completely different to my
music life. To your music life. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So that's what really drew you to consultancy. But it's interesting how, and I want to understand from you how music, because that is the really creative side and part of you, right? How does that influence you when because you've been doing this for many years now, the consultancy, and you've been across so many different boardrooms. You've experienced leaders from so many different cultures whom you've probably worked with as a consultant. How do you, so there are two aspects to this. One is that how do you find the different leaders from different cultures, how do you find them different from each other? Or is it that universally there's just one language to leadership? So that's one part of my question. And then I'm very curious to know how you're able to bring music into your consultancy work, in the way you talk to leaders to help them if they are stuck and don't know how to progress. So I think it's a very long-ended kind of
okay. So I will try to divide this. So obviously working for KPMG gave me a lot of perspective to work in international teams.
Correct.
So the person who employed me, my first boss, he was from New York. So he gave me a lot of freedom and a lot of trust to do my projects. So I was actually very lucky to cooperate with him. But also in the company we had a lot of international people. And my career was really progressing. So my role started in Warsaw, but also I had another roles in CE and later in EMA regions. So I was traveling a lot and I was seeing different people. So obviously I could learn different perspectives and also see, how people behave, how they take the decisions, whether it's easier in particular environment, different countries, how this environment is designed. So I started to creating a little thoughts about this and also experimenting. So because I had a lot of freedom, I could propose a lot of things. So for example, whenever I organized any meetings, or it was also events for the company, whatever I did, because I was more on this human side, so I could combine and I could give a little flavor of art as well. So that was something that brings to the company a creative side. I did a lot of projects where I recruited people, very talented, fantastic people who are growing their career right now, and they are very successful. I could do a lot of, trainings, a lot of assessments for them, but also, I started to do a little bit of consulting projects there. So that gave me a lot of, different perspective, which I could use later. But being at KPMG, I also started to do my PhD in economics. So it was, the first decision that maybe one day I will leave and I will do something different. But it's not easy to leave the company such KPMG. So that was a decision which took me at least 2 years. And finally, I decided to do this, and I started my own consulting company. And I was lucky to have a lot of good clients, and still I am. So I'm very grateful for this, because each client gives you a different perspective, and also you can meet different people and also observe different style of leadership.
Yeah.
Which is partly answer to your question. Whenever I go and do the project, I start from diagnosis of the organization. So I try to go inside the company and really see what kind of change can I create, what impact I can create, but also what are the needs. So I try to really search, to do a lot of, surveys, interviews, to have, some suggestions for the owners of the company, partners, managers, whoever, to create, a good implementation. So how the company can benefit from my services. Because what I love about my job is bringing change and also helping people to understand this change. So they feel this change and they are part of this. So usually within the organization, I create teams and I train the teams to transfer these changes to other people in the organization. So we try to cascade this down into, certain projects, certain, areas where people can benefit, from this. But, being at consulting, you every day you learn something new. So,
correct.
which I love.
Anyways, in life, I think every day you learn something new.
Yeah.
So
obviously I love this.
Yeah.
But a combination with music, sometimes, my best projects really was where I could really invite art to business, it wasn't very popular in Poland initially. Right now it's completely different. But I observed this in London, how it was, this connection between art and business was very natural. So the project I proposed for my clients, sometimes it was to employ the symphonic orchestra and to show processes of changes on, using the orchestra and seeing this at the same time. Because in organization, you usually wait like 6 months to see the changes. And in the orchestra, you have this at the same time. So this is absolutely brilliant, material. So whenever I had an opportunity to do this project, we usually, establish what change we would like to show within the orchestra, using the talents of the musicians, the conductor, who is usually, we can explain his role like CEO in the company, who's got a score, which is a kind of strategy for the organization. But it's, we know that, each orchestra sounds different.
Yeah.
Depending on who is inside,
yeah,
and who is leading the orchestra.
Yeah.
So the same in the company. You can have wonderful, leaders, and people will follow them, but you can have 1-2 managers which are delivering different values or living the different values, and they can destroy the whole company culture. So
it's the environment and the culture and the thinking, right?
The thinking.
So you basically, by doing this, you're encouraging them to think out of the box. And because there is a very traditional approach, you're a leader, you will think in a certain way, right? So that's so interesting that you bring in art and especially music to help people understand that you can be creative in how you think. You don't have to follow the whole traditional way of being a leader. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So, you've created a method which is called MasConsulting Delivery Framework and Design Thinking Methodology. Can you please explain what that is?
Yes, with pleasure, because
I had to read it to really be able to say it the way it is. So
the thing is that I love to discover and also test different methods. So design thinking, it was methodology used basically at Stanford University and was very successful. When I started to implement this, I even didn't name this like this, but I discovered that you can create completely different projects once you start to think differently about it and to divide project into certain areas. So for example, all the idea behind design thinking is to help the organization think differently, to search for innovation, but create something which will be useful and will be, from the economical point of view, also suitable. So basically you start from the empathy map to search,
Sorry, the what map?
Empathy map.
Okay.
So it's various tools you can use to check, what clients are thinking about your company, what they think, what they see, how do they behave, what are their struggles, what they assess as a kind of success. So based on this, you can create the beginning of understanding what's the position that you would like to create, for example, a new product or new services, having some basis for this. So obviously this go through going to another module where you need to decide what's the problem, because in design thinking you very often try to solve problems which are very hard to solve. So but you need to decide what is the right problem, because sometimes the companies are focusing not on the problem they should solve, they think that is the problem they've got. So if you don't do a right research and you don't conduct this well, you may be misleading and you can answer not to the question you should, find the solution. So obviously it's a lot of brainstorming. Later it's about testing the ideas, because you need to build a kind of prototyping to see whether your product or your services will be suitable for
that particular
environment
and
need or whatever, because it's different environmental, for example, problems or other problems you would like to solve. So all depends on the company and the strategy and the aim of the company. So basically these methods help you really to design something which will be useful, but also something which would be innovative. But before you send this on the market, you can test this and you can iterate this. So sometimes you do a lot of changes and you need to be very patient to see, to observe, to really track the changes and improve. So it requires, like in music, a lot of practice. So you need to be basically, even if you are technically perfect, you need to find better tools, better methods, and for the organizations to really create better products which the customers will want to use and will use in a
and that's what way. Will set them apart from other companies, right?
Yes.
So that's the important thing.
So when you think about medicine, or you think about pharmaceutical companies, these methods are very useful, because you need first to really check your products before you send them to the market.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's now talk about your 2 books, because which one came first? The Art of Changing Your Mindset?
Yes,
that came first.
That's first.
So this is the first book written by Agnes, and so let's understand from you, Agnes, and let me show you the other book as well, The Happiness Mindset, which is the other book. So talk us through what actually led you, and what did you think was, one, the impact that you are likely to create writing these books. What was your objective when you actually decided to put down your thoughts and your methodology into these 2 books?
When I started to think about, the first book, I did a lot of research about how people think really and what's inside our brain. I was curious about this, and I did a lot of, courses, a lot of investigations. So that was like, suddenly I discovered something I didn't know before, and I was so passionate about this. So I spent every possible moment to really search and really apply to myself and test whether it works or not. So I started to discover the idea behind mindset, how mindset can influence our life, our decisions, how we change, and how the mindset can help us to think better. So before I wrote the book, I discovered that, in order to be successful, you need a kind of balance. And always people search for this inner balance, but it's very hard to achieve. So I started to think about what kind of factors can bring these values. Being a coach, that usually people are searching for a few areas like, career, like, relationship, money, health, environment, friends. But I thought, okay, that's very critical areas, but maybe there are other areas that will help, to build this even further, so we can, reinvent ourselves, to think about ourselves in a different way. So I started to investigate and search for the right factors, and I created a tool of 12 different areas. Okay. And I tested this in a specific way. Each during beginning of January each year.
Okay.
For a few years, yeah. I was sending the document with 12 areas, 12 questions, and people had to do a kind of survey how they feel in this
So who were you sending these documents to?
Initially to friends, and later I started to send to my clients as well. So that was a break-even point. So it was something breakthrough and the beginning really of the book. And I discovered 3 categories of people. Some who said, okay, the questionnaire is great, we can realize what we are missing in our life, what we need more, how we can, transform our life. So this group was, like confident, knowing what they are doing, and navigating the life perfectly well. It was the second group, which was interesting. The second group said, okay, we are coping with this, but we've got some, areas where we need some help. So obviously they wanted a bit of, support, like mentoring, coaching, depending, who wanted what. But also it was the third group who said, we are in such a bad, position, bad mood, that we don't even want to open this, because we don't want to create any, more struggle in our life. Mm-hmm. So I decided, okay, so this group is a challenge for me, so I need to do something more to, to help them. And one day, I said, okay, so I will write about this. So I will help people through, investigating and giving them a lot of, information, how they can progress, doing this by themselves, or maybe asking, somebody for help, but being more familiar with what they want to achieve. So in the first book, the Art of Changing Your Mindset, the subtitle is Achieve Inner Balance and Excel in Business and Life. So the 12, the 12 areas I focused on
were the 12 questions that you had sent out.
So you've got like different areas, and I specifically, changed this area after the COVID, because I thought that, people even need different areas because they are in different positions, different situations. So, for example, the new area was like leaving the comfort zone, which was, which I didn't have before. So it's a lot of areas, starting from vision of life, like leaving the comfort zone, thinking about, a little bit also about your spiritual life, about your, lifestyle in general, but also about your energy and productivity, how not to lose this, how to improve these qualities, because you need this for being a leader, you need this for any meeting you lead with the clients, you need to be very, up to on a high energy to help others to really, grow, to give them support, to share knowledge. The book is designed in this way that, initially in each chapter I ask the question, I give a lot of, information how you can change something in your life, but it's your decision, so I only guide you.
Because it's very individual, right?
Yes, that's
and the experience that individual is having will be different from the next and the next and the next. So and
also, we are changing perspective, because today when we are talking, our perspective can be totally different in 2 months time or something, because of the circumstances of the situation on the market, of anything. So basically, this book can be with you forever, because you can come back to this and check, and not necessarily, deal with all 12 areas, but select
whatever is specific to you.
Specific to you, and also you can decide, like, once a year, I would love to focus on this area, because this is at this moment in my life more important than others. So I'm very grateful for this book, because I met a lot of wonderful people all over the world. I did a lot of workshops based on this book, and I could share this with a lot of people who were in need, but also those who wanted to progress, to develop, to be particularly, or change something. So that was a kind of a very good, background to study, investigate more, because, after each conversation with a new person, I could discover, there is something that maybe there is a room for something more. So it was a room for something more.
Because that's when the next one happened. And so this one is the happiness mindset, and it's lead with purpose and joy in a changing world. So explain.
Okay, so this book is, I think, even deeper.
Okay.
And the main subject is, a kind of maybe sometimes paradox, because people say, you can't be all the time happy. It's very difficult to be happy today, because the world is changing so fast. There are so many expectations. So the subtitle was really, how to lead with purpose, which is very important, because if you have purpose, you know where to go, but also you need a little bit of lightness, a joy that can, help you in the changing world. So my discovery was that even you are successful, sometimes you are not necessarily happy. So what to do? My question was what to do to design happiness, to bring more joy in everyday's life. Not to wait that, someday I will do something and I will be happy, because it doesn't work. So, so I decided that, this book will be also around 12 areas, but I try to search for something that, will bring to the leaders some hope, but also some information, how can they deal with themselves and their teams in a changing world. So I decided that I will select again 12 different, challenges, problems that modern leader experience, and how they can overcome this and really design their life that they can enjoy. Because happy environment, happy leader creates much better opportunities for other people, and
correct. And also I think there's more likelihood of success, because
definitely
you're absolutely right. I think the key takeaway from both your books is your mindset.
That's true.
Yeah. Which,
That's true.
whether, how you change it and how important happiness is and how you incorporate it, but it all clearly is that, the clarity of your mind, and how you therefore channelize that in order to get to a point where, depending whether it's in your personal life or whether it's if you're in a corporate environment, I think it's brilliant, and I'm very, very curious to read both your books. So thank you so much, Agnes. I've really enjoyed listening to you. And just for everyone, where are the books available? That's one. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Oh, it's quite easy, because right now book is everywhere on Amazon, so you can buy this very easily, very fast. So it's all over the world.
Okay.
And also on other portals. So it's basically you need to type the title of this, and you will see this. And I'm very grateful that a lot of people give me a lot of positive feedback, because I studied this carefully, and also I right now with the new book, because this one is very fresh, I had already a lot of workshops, a lot of possibilities to talk about this and help leaders to grow, but in a little bit different way. So even last month when we met in Barcelona for the book event, I met a lot of people who said that they spend ages on therapy and reading, sometimes few words you can find, something what you are missing, which, obviously it's, it's coincidence of everything, a kind of synergy, but, I'm grateful when I can help to people who needs this, and it's my, right now it's my mission to tell about this book more and more, and to help, leaders to grow in the organizations, because I see how the world is demanding right now, and there are a lot of challenges and a lot of technological advancements. So people, struggle with this. They don't know, where the world is moving. So we need to give them a little bit of maybe direction, how,
correct,
but but it's up to them what they will select, because it's a lot of questions, exercises and things to do. The only one thing which is very important whenever you read any book, it is what you will do with this, whether you read this and put on the shelf, or you read this and you apply this and you try to test this, and suddenly, creating new habits, you start to really feel that it's yours, and you build your strength, your energy, and your happiness.
Perfect. Absolutely. I think it's what you, so you have to be sincere when you read the book, so that you're able to pick whatever it is that, maybe at that point in your life is a shortcoming in terms of your leadership strategies, or you're absolutely right. It's a constantly evolving and changing environment, and how to be able to adapt to it, because it's a constant. You mentioned technology, we talked about the pandemic, the geopolitics. I mean, everything is constantly a conversation and is constantly moving. So if there is some kind of something that you are able to learn and adapt into your style of working or your personal lifestyle. I think that probably for you is the biggest impact, is my understanding. So, I mean, that's what you're really, really passionate about. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Agnes.
Thank you too. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you.